everybody, it is Zen, and today we're doing another book review. And today we're reviewing the Stephen King book, Revival. So, this is one of his newer books, a really awesome book for the most recent times. Some people call it his best book after The Accident of New Stephen King, and I gotta say, I agree. It's an awesome book. It's a short book, first of all. It's only 450 or so pages, and it took me only 3 days to get through it, meaning it's really great and really fast. So I really love this book. It was awesome, and it's probably one of the scariest books I've ever read, and I've read It, and I don't often get scared by books. People say It is probably the scariest book, or Misery is the scariest book. It wasn't that scary for me because I don't know why. It was great. It was an awesome book, but it wasn't that scary for me. And And Misery had a lot of suspense, but of course it's not technically scaring, so you have to keep that in mind. But this is super scary. So, the plot of the book. First of all, the title, Revival. Revival is a word that pops up many times during the book, and each time it's given a new meaning, and a lot of people like that about this book. Revival is given so many meanings throughout the book, and it's popping up everywhere instead of just one place, and people think that that's awesome. I think that's pretty cool too, but, you know, it's not. I would have preferred if there was just one sentence where it was like, this is revival, look, it's revival, or something like that, because I just prefer that kind of stuff. It's just one big, like, all encompassing sentence instead of a lot of these. But this is still really cool and creative. I've never seen this type of title before. The plot of Stephen King's Revival, as you can see in the thing on the cover, is it has a lot to do with electricity. So if you look closer, I didn't actually notice this. This is a pastor's house or a church or something like that. I'm not Christian, I don't know. But it has a cross on it, so it's religious in some way. This book is all about electricity. It's all about a guy named Jamie Morton, who at the beginning of the book is, I believe, 6 years old, and then at the end of the book, he's writing this as an 80-year-old or so, and at the beginning, and while he's writing, he talks about it. At the beginning, he's 7 or 6 years old, and then at the end of the actual story, he's about 60 or 65 maybe. It's a full lifespan kind of a thing. And it's about a guy named Reverend Charles Jacobs. So he's kind of the fifth business. So he talks about that at the beginning of the book, kind of defining what a fifth business is. And if I were to explain it shortly, it's a person that's not technically good in a story, not technically bad either. They just pop up every so often and change it completely. So Charles Jacob is not a good guy. He technically will become a bad guy. But for most of the book, he's not really a good guy or a bad guy. He's kind of just there to further the story, and that's really cool. I've never heard of the fifth business before. It's really interesting to see. Jamie Morton and the other guy, Jamie Morton and Charles Jacob, they meet every so often. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going on, but it's really sad at the beginning. There's an accident at the beginning, and it's really sad. And then, yeah, so something happened, the accident happens, they're separated. Jamie and Charles are separated, and then they meet again many years later. And at that point, we see Charles Jacobs back, continuing his business with electricity. It's a hobby at the beginning, and now it's practically his business, electricity. And he keeps going, and he keeps talking about this thing called secret electricity. And we don't know what that is, kind of, but but Charles Jacobs, he talks about it as if it's a secret power within the universe that we can tap into, and we can solve all problems, the secrets to the universe. And I think that's awesome. That's really cool. And what happens throughout the book is that, so at the beginning, it's all about God, and, you know, it's a Christian, he's a pastor, so it's all about the Christian God. But then as it goes through, it kind of switches into, no, not God, but electricity is the cause and root of everything. And so we get into a bunch of cool arguments and stuff like that, or not arguments. We get into cool situations where we have to talk, where they talk about that and they figure out what's going on. And at the very end of the book, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but what kind of happens is that they figure out a secret to the universe, and it's so scary that it's too scary. And that's where the scary part comes in. It comes in at about 100 pages or so before the end of the book, and it's super duper scary. It's not a jump scare, because you can't do that in the book, but it's a horrifying concept to think about, and it's so scary. And then a lot more accidents happen after that, and we see kind of the encompassing sadness of the entire world in this book, and it's really cool, but in that way. So it's a very scary book. This is a very scary book with a lot of concepts that not many people tackle, and Stephen King, he tackles it perfectly, awesomely. And we also get a bunch of cool, full life experience. So we see him going through his entire life, and it's really fun seeing that. There's one reference that I found in this book, because I haven't fully read the Dark Tower series. I probably should read a couple more books before I get to that, because I heard there's spoilers for Salem's Lot and stuff. I'm reading Salem's Lot right now, but there's one very seeable reference in it, and in the book Revival, and it's to the book Joyland. So we get that in there. There's a mention of the Joyland. They use the words that Joyland, that the employees of Joyland use to talk about their customers. The people in this book talk like that. So it's cool because you're kind of seeing that these two are in the same universe. And even though there's no other connection that I know personally, I haven't researched this or anything, but there's no seeable connections between everything else except for the Dark Tower. I believe there's one, but I've forgotten. But I really like this book. This, again, is a 5 out of 5 because I loved it. It's so scary from the beginning to the end. It's very interesting. So much stuff happens, and the character completely grows and changes. And even though we don't see Charles Jacobs constantly, he's consistent enough that he becomes a main character. Even though he's not there for probably half the book, he's still there enough that we see him as one of the coolest characters, and he's a really awesome character. It's definitely made to be a horror book, and I was scared by it, but to me it just doesn't look like it. It looks like a thriller, even though I feel like it's a horror more than a thriller, but it's kind of a thriller. So 5 out of 5. Great characters, awesome plot, awesome subject to tackle, and awesome way he tackled it. Stephen King always gets a 5 out of 5 in the way he writes a book. It's great. So, thank you for watching this review of Revival by Stephen King. If you like this review, click that like button, or tell me in the comments down below what you think of the book, or tell me down below what you want me to review, because I love reading your comments, and I love responding to them. And then, if you want to see more reviews by me, click the subscribe button down below. Last I checked, I think we're at 10 subscribers, which is actually impressive. I haven't checked this channel in a while. I put out a new video every week or so on Sunday, but I'm kind of falling behind, and I don't have that many books to review anymore, so it's probably going to take a little bit longer now because I'm kind of slow at reading. I take more than a week to read, and I can't consistently upload a video every once a week. So it's probably going to slow down from now on, but it's probably going to be maybe one a month or one every 2 weeks, something like that. So I'm still going to be uploading because this is a very easy video to make, and it's really fun, and I love to see what you guys think and love to see anybody who watches this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.